Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we begin a journey to a place where the ground cracks like the dry skin of some ancient creature just waking up, where Lake Chad, once a vast, shimmering inland sea, is now little more than splintered mud and fractured stone, scorched by centuries and the relentless African sun. But that's not the strangest part. The strangest part is what's rising from beneath it. Massive blocks of stone, aligned too precisely to be coincidence, and etched like they're waiting for someone to return. You might not survive what I'm about to show you, so before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And don't forget to drop your location and local time in the comments below. I want to know where in the world you're watching from. Now, turn off the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft ambient hum, and let's begin tonight's journey. You step carefully across the lakebed's soft, sun-baked earth shattered into thousands of hexagonal tiles. Each step makes a dry, brittle sound, like walking on ancient ceramics. The wind brings a salty tang and the strange heat of 122-degree desert air. And then you see it, a wall shoulder height, jutting from the ground like it was installed yesterday, not thousands of years ago. You kneel. Its face is smooth, impossibly smooth. You catch a hazy reflection of yourself in it. It doesn't feel carved. It feels manufactured. A technology older than anything modern science can replicate. You shiver. Half joking, you mutter, "Definitely not IKEA." Right beside the stone block is something that makes your breath catch. A spiral, carved deeply into the cracked earth. Not just one, many, arranged concentrically, radiating out like frozen sound waves. You step back, pulling out your phone for a photo. But as you walk around it, something feels off. Your shadow keeps pulling subtly in the same direction, no matter where you stand. Gravity seems to bend, as if this thing is distorting space. You crouch and press your hand into the center of the spiral. A dull boom echoes beneath the surface. Not loud, but deep. You feel it in your chest before you hear it. The ground shudders and you yank your hand back instinctively. You laugh, tight and nervous. Pretty sure I just pressed something I shouldn't have. Joke too. Suddenly, a nearby patch of dirt sinks. Gently, like sand giving way. What it reveals stops your breath cold. A square opening. Inside, a spiral staircase, cut from dark stone, descending into shadow. You step to the edge and peer in. No bottom in sight, just a slow, rising breath of air, cooler, denser, tinged with iron and something faintly electric, like ozone. You look around. No one's here, so of course you descend. The first step clicks under your boot. The second vibrates faintly. The deeper you go, the thicker the air becomes. Each step feels like you're walking down into an ancient consciousness that hasn't thought in a very, very long time. At the 37th step, you see it. A faint green glow like bioluminescence. You reach the bottom. The chamber opens. Octagonal. High vaulted ceiling. Silent. And in the center, rising up from cracked earth, is a crystal pillar. 2 meters tall. Glowing from within. Half buried but very much intact. This light is soft, but alive. You hesitate. But you didn't come all this way just to look. You reach out and press your palm to the crystal, and the light pours into your mind. Visions rush through you, disconnected, vivid. A massive ship floating in the desert. Figures humanoid but elongated, eyes large, bodies graceful and alien. A spiral of light etched into the earth, identical to the one you found above. And then blackness, gone. The light vanishes. You fall back, your palm still warm, like it touched electricity. You breathe. You whisper, voice raspy but amused. "Guess I just bought myself a one-way ticket to Mars." Joke 3. But you know, this journey has only just begun. The chamber holds its breath. You stay seated for a moment, your palm tingling, your mind pulsing with afterimages. Like sparks behind your eyes. That vision, it didn't feel like imagination. Felt implanted. Not just shown, but inserted into your memory as if it had always been there. You glance back at the crystal. It's gone dark, dormant, like it only needed to speak once. The silence in the room is almost a presence. You rise slowly. The chamber is more symmetrical than you realized, perfectly shaped, with walls that curve ever so slightly inward. At each of the 8 sides, a line of symbols trails from floor to ceiling. You approach one. The carvings shimmer not in color, but in behavior. As you tilt your head, they appear to move, rearrange themselves ever so subtly. You blink. Step left. The symbols change. Step right. They revert. You whisper, "Okay, that's not normal." Then add, "Unless these are alien mood rings." You pull out your notebook and try to sketch them, but every time your pen touches paper, the symbols shift again. You snap a photo instead. The symbols blur in the image. Your phone can't focus on them. No surprise there. You shine your light across the opposite wall. There, on the far side, is a second staircase, much narrower than the one you came down. You hesitate. That's when the hum returns. Low, sub-bass, not through your ears but through your bones. Comes from beneath you, vibrating upward through your boots. Your skin prickles. The hair on your arms stands up. You whisper, "Please just be geological activity and not, I don't know, awakening protocols." Joke 2. You descend the second staircase. The steeper, older. Each step has been worn down into a crescent. The air cools even further. The smell sharpens, like damp stone mixed with something slightly metallic. You think of the scent of old batteries or the inside of a meteorite, if that even has a smell. At the bottom, another chamber. This one is rectangular, longer than the first, with a raised dais at one end. And on that dais, a carving. A massive relief etched into the wall. You step closer. Takes your breath away. Figures, at least 10 of them, lined in procession. Humanoid, but distinctly not human. Their arms are longer. Their posture regal. Their heads, slightly too large. Each figure is holding a spiral disc. At the center of the carving, an enormous gate, circular, arched, with radiating lines that suggest light or energy. But it's the details that really unsettle you. Above the gate, 3 symbols, the same ones from the lakebed spiral. Beneath the figures, earth. Not stylized, accurate. Even the outline of Lake Chad is there, shaped just as the satellite images show it now, in its current diminished state. You say it out loud. They knew the lake would shrink. And then, more quietly, or maybe they designed it to. You examine the wall closely. There are marks around the figures, tiny scratches in the stone. You run your fingers over them. They look recent, not ancient. Someone else has been here. And then you see it. On the far wall, scrawled hastily in what looks like white chalk, a single word, Ikwin. You freeze. That's not a name you know. It's not in any language you recognize. But somehow it feels loud, like it carries weight. You take a photo, then back away. A feeling rises in your stomach, pressure, like a storm building behind your ribs. You turn to leave. The exit is gone.
No collapse. No illusion.
Just gone. A wall where there wasn't one. You take a slow step back. The chamber dims. The carving behind you seems to glow, softly at first, then stronger. Not from light, but from memory. As if it's remembering something through you. Then the hum shifts, from steady to pulsing. You realize it's a signal. Pattern. 3 long pulses. 2 short. 1 long. Your breath catches. You've heard that rhythm before. From radio reports, low-frequency anomalies in deep space signals. SETI patterns. The kind they say are almost random, but never quite. The symbols on the wall begin to rearrange again. Slowly, like they're decoding themselves for you. You press your hand to the carving's gate. A vibration travels up your arm and locks into your jaw. Your vision dims. You don't fall, but your balance tips. Like your mind just took a step through a door your body didn't follow. You hear a whisper. Not with your ears. With your teeth. A voice. 1 word. Return. You fall back, gasping. The light vanishes. Silence. You sit, stunned. Then, barely above a whisper, you laugh. Yup. Definitely not a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Joke 3. You rise again. The wall that vanished is now an arch. A new hallway, softly glowing at the edges, like the structure has rearranged itself. You walk forward, and the word still echoes in your head. Return. But return to what? The hallway curves gently, leading you deeper beneath the lakebed. The glow on the walls shifts from amber to green, and then to a cold, silvery white. The temperature drops. You rub your arms through your sleeves, your breath now visible in the air. There's no obvious source for the light. It simply is. Like the walls themselves are remembering what illumination feels like. You walk slower now, more aware. Every sound, the scuff of your boot, the soft hum of whatever is powering this place, echoes just a little too far. Like the space is bigger than it looks. Like it's alive and breathing somewhere behind the stone. You mutter, half to keep yourself sane. It's fine. Just a forgotten alien hallway under a lake. Happens all the time. Then you hear it. Footsteps. Not yours. You stop cold. They stop too. You turn. Flashlight sweeping the corridor behind you. Nothing. But the air, it shifts. Like something big just passed by on a floor above or below. You place your hand on the wall. No vibration. But the metal feels different now, softer, somehow. Like the surface tension of water before it breaks. You keep walking. Around the next bend, the corridor opens into another chamber. This one is circular, vaulted ceiling, domed like the inside of a bell. And in the center, floating above a thin pedestal of obsidian-like stone, a sphere. It's about the size of a basketball. Matte black. No seams, no markings, but it hums. It pulses once every 3 seconds, lightly vibrating the platform it rests on. You approach slowly. Something in you wants to touch it. Something else deeper warns against it. You stop just short. Then it speaks. Not aloud. Not even in your head. It speaks in images. You see fire, flood, sand. A map of Africa zoomed inward, past Cameroon, Niger, Chad. Then deeper, below the crust, beneath tectonic plates, into a chamber of light. Hundreds of these spheres, all slumbering, all connected by spirals carved in black stone. You stagger back. The vision stops. Your hand is still extended, though you don't remember raising it. The sphere dims, and then slowly lifts. It floats upward, silently, until it reaches the ceiling. Then it stops, suspended mid-air. A moment later, lines of light shoot out from the edges of the room, converging beneath it. Platform rises. Console. The control panel? You approach. The panel isn't made of buttons or switches. It's shaped light, floating glyphs that shift when you move your hand near them. You test it, waving your fingers. The symbols rotate, rearrange. One set locks into a triangle. Another forms a spiral. And then, activation. The room shifts. The walls become transparent. You're still underground, but now you can see through stone. Above you, the cracked surface of the dried lakebed. Beyond it, trees.
Village.
Life. But directly beneath you, more chambers. You see them. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. Some collapsed, some still glowing. Connected like a vast web. A lattice of tunnels and rooms built into the skeleton of the earth. And in the middle of it all, something moving. You lean closer. The movement isn't mechanical. It's pulsing, breathing. A structure in the deepest part of the system is alive. You whisper, "This isn't a ruin. It's a body." Then correct yourself. No, it's a system. And softer still, or maybe both. You remember a debate from an old paper you read once about the Lake Megachad hypothesis. That tens of thousands of years ago, this area was not a lake, but the center of a massive civilization wiped out by the sudden shift in climate. Some theorized the flooding was intentional, that it covered something, hid it. You never believed it. Now, standing here with light that obeys no known rules and symbols that rewrite themselves based on your breath, you're not so sure. The panel flickers. One symbol, an eye, pulses red. You reach toward it. A jolt like static, but instead of pain, it delivers information. A single sentence. The seal weakens. You step back. Behind you, the corridor closes. A door appears in its place. Seamless. The only way out now is forward, through a new path forming before you. The floor ripples like mercury and solidifies into steps leading downward. You stare at them, then laugh, just a little. I swear, this place builds faster than IKEA too. Joke 2. You descend again. The tunnel curves in unnatural geometry, corners that shouldn't exist, but feel normal. Time starts to slip. You're not sure how long you've been walking. Minutes? Hours? At some point, you realize you're no longer breathing heavily. No longer sweating. The air is perfect. Designed. Then the tunnel ends. And in front of you, an atrium. Lush. Green. Plants growing under artificial sky. Water flowing across polished rock. And at the center, a figure. Tall. Motionless. Facing away. The skin a blend of stone and light. Turns. Not all the way. Just enough for you to see its eyes. And then everything goes dark. Darkness isn't just absence here, it feels active, as though it's thinking, listening. You're not unconscious. You're still standing, still breathing, but the world around you is gone, folded inward like the pause between two blinks. Then light returns, not sudden, earned. You're still in the atrium. The water still flows. The plants still shimmer with dew. But the figure, it's no longer in front of you. It's beside you, and it's watching. You don't hear footsteps. You don't feel movement. It's just there. Tall, silent, semi-translucent, as if made of glass that forgot how to reflect. Its eyes are almond-shaped and vertical, glowing faintly from within.
No mouth.
No sound, but you understand it's speaking to you. It gestures, slowly, palm up toward the water. A stone rises from the pool. On it, another spiral. This one spins. Not physically, but visually. As you look, it twists, bends, rearranges itself into something new. A star map. You step closer. It shows a planetary system, 9 objects orbiting a binary star. One of them glows brighter than the others. You recognize Earth's position not by its shape, but by what's missing. The spiral is incomplete. Something has been cut out. You whisper, "Is this what used to be here?" The being nods barely. You glance at its hands. 3 fingers. Long, fluid. Not mechanical. The being lifts its hand again, and a new projection appears in the air between you, Earth, Africa, Chad. And then, beneath it, a second Earth, inverted, glowing with the same lattice of tunnels you saw earlier. A mirrored world. Or a buried one. Then a word echoes not from the creature, but from the very air. Symmetry. You take a step back. You mirrored the planet. No reply, but the water ripples in agreement. The being finally moves, walking or gliding, toward the far end of the atrium. You follow not because you're brave, but because there is nowhere else to go. Its movement is graceful but silent, like a thought moving through memory. You pass under archways carved with symbols that shift subtly as you pass. One moment they resemble stars, the next, bones. Another moment, faces. You try not to look too long. Then you arrive at a chamber unlike the others. Simple, round, empty. At the center, a single chair. No, not a chair. A cradle. Designed for a body roughly your size. You glance at the being. "I'm not sitting in that." The being tilts its head, not threatening but patient. The floor beneath you hums. Your hands tingle. The sphere you saw earlier, it's here, embedded in the wall. Dormant, waiting. The being steps back into the shadow and disappears. Literally. Like a picture burned off the wall. You're alone again. You look at the cradle. And then you sit. The moment your spine touches the stone, everything changes. You're no longer in the atrium. You're drifting above Earth. Stars hang motionless. Below, the planet spins, cloud-covered and alive. But you can see beneath it, networks of tunnels glowing like veins. Then, beyond Earth, you see others, worlds darkened, disconnected, silent. Then a voice, deep, female, and calm enters your mind. You are the first to return. You try to speak, but your mouth won't open. You carry memory. Visions flood in. The lake as it once was, a hub, a gateway. Ships descending into the water, not splashing, but phasing through. People, your people, guiding travelers from one star to the next. Then the seal. Then silence. Then you. You feel a shiver as the chair releases you. You blink and you're back. The atrium is empty again. The water still flows, but something inside you is different. You remember things you've never learned. You understand languages you've never read. You feel connected not to the being, not to the chamber, but to the entire system. You whisper, "Was this place waiting for someone like me?" A reply comes, not in voice, but in sensation. It was waiting for itself. You are the mirror. The chamber lights dim. Passage opens ahead. The cradle slowly folds into the floor, vanishing without sound. You stand one last time, and before walking forward, you look back. The water glows a little brighter now, as if it recognizes you. You step into the next corridor, and the countdown begins not with numbers but with a feeling that something beneath Lake Chad is finally, truly, waking up. The corridor you enter feels older than anything you've seen so far. Not in the crumbling sense, but in age. As if it was built before stone knew how to be stone. The walls aren't made of metal or rock or crystal. They're made of something that resists definition. Smooth, absorbent. Your footsteps make no sound. You walk for what feels like minutes but sense could be seconds or hours. Time here isn't obedient. At last, the corridor opens. This chamber is massive, Colosseum-sized, tiered like an amphitheater with no audience. And at its center, a platform. On that platform, a figure. Not like the first one you met. This one is still, frozen, encased in a transparent shell, like amber but pulsing gently from within. His face is expressionless, elongated. Its arms rest across its chest in perfect symmetry. His body is neither alive nor dead. But something is stored here. You approach slowly. Then you notice the ground. The floor is covered in symbols. Some spiral, some zigzag. Others glow faintly under your light. You step carefully, afraid to interrupt a pattern that's been untouched for who knows how long. A voice, low and steady, returns, though there's no one around. This is the witness. You pause. Witness of what? No reply. Instead, a segment of the wall across the chamber begins to shimmer. It dissolves like fog peeling back from glass. Behind it, a projection begins. You watch, heart thudding. You see Earth, primitive, green, innocent. Then a craft descends, not a saucer, not a triangle. A lattice of light. It doesn't land. It sinks with the terrain. You see beings walking the surface, long-limbed, gentle-eyed. They're not gods. They're not conquerors. They're custodians. And then something changes. A rift. A war not of weapons, but of resonance. One faction wanted the connection preserved. The other broken. The war didn't scorch land. It fractured memory. And the lake, a seal. Not a punishment. A pause. To protect something until the right frequency returned. You. The figure inside the crystal shell pulses. A glyph above it begins to flicker. You stare at it. What am I supposed to do? The light from your body, the resonance you were infused with, begins to mirror the flickering glyph. You match it, unintentionally, and the shell responds. It melts not into liquid, but into light. The being within crumples slightly, as if waking from sleep thousands of years too long. Then it lifts its head and looks directly at you. No fear, no alarm, recognition. It raises one hand, not as a weapon, as a greeting. Then it points toward the ceiling. You follow the gesture and see it, a massive spiral etched into the dome, glowing now layer by layer, ring by ring, the same spiral you first touched on the dried lakebed. This is the source. You step onto the platform. A hum rises again, stronger now, chord, not one note, but many, layered and harmonic. vibrating inside your ribs. The spiral above you begins to spin. Not physically, but your eyes feel it moving, like it's warping space. The figure beside you raises both arms. Light pours from its chest, touches the floor, and the lake, the one far above you, dried and cracked, trembles. You don't see it, but you feel it. Water molecules reorganizing, wind shifting backward, the earth preparing. A symbol appears in front of you. 7 arms, 1 spiral. A phrase forms under it. Anchor reestablished. You whisper, "Is this a beacon?" The being doesn't answer, but it turns to the center of the platform, steps into a circle you hadn't noticed before. Stands still, waiting. The voice returns. One must stay. One must speak. You realize the being is offering itself to remain here, keeping the system stable. And you are meant to carry the message out, to bring the truth back to the surface. You hesitate, then nod. As you step back toward the corridor, the light behind you fades gently. The last thing you see, the figure lowering its head, returning to stillness, not imprisonment, purpose. You walk again, and you now understand. This wasn't a discovery. It was a handover. The corridor ahead is different. Before, the architecture was ancient, unknowable. Now it responds to you. Walls gently glow as you pass, like a ripple acknowledging your presence. A faint breeze moves through the passageway, though no vents exist. It smells faintly of something warm, electric, and sweet, like metal and honeysuckle. It doesn't make sense, but nothing here does. You walk in silence until a new chamber opens, low, wide, with an arched ceiling that shimmers like the surface of water. In the center, a table, long and flat, with a recessed basin running down its center. Around the edges, dozens of tiny artifacts, tools, fragments, etched plates the size of a coin. This looks like a workroom, place for memory, or assembly. You move closer to the basin and peer inside. It's filled with sand, but not like any you've seen. The grains are black and silver, constantly moving, alive. Not flowing randomly, but swirling in shapes. Spirals, helixes, geometric loops. Every so often, the patterns align into symbols you've seen before, then scatter. You reach toward it, then stop. Nope. Not sticking my hand in alien spaghetti. Instead, you examine the tools. One of them is shaped like a tuning fork, but with 5 prongs. Another resembles a stylus but has no tip, just vibrating air where a point should be. The plates nearby are etched with markings that shift like lenticular holograms when you tilt them. You pick up one. The moment your fingers touch the surface, your surroundings change. You're not transported, your senses realign. You're standing in the same room, but it's full now. Alive. Beings move around you, tall and translucent. They're working, passing tools, adjusting the sand in the basin, murmuring in a language that's musical, layered. You realize these aren't just scientists. They're engineers of memory. You look down. You're holding the same plate, but it's glowing in your hands. You're not an observer anymore. You're in the memory. A figure approaches, one of the beings, places its palm against your chest. Then it speaks. You carry the last thread. You blink and the vision is gone. You're back in the quiet chamber. The sand has stopped swirling. In the center of the table, something has formed. A small pyramid, jet black, with the spiral carved into its top. You pick it up. It's cold. Heavier than it looks. The base contains a single line of symbols, which immediately burn into your memory without translation. You hear a faint phrase echoing in your mind. This explains the silence. You pocket the pyramid and exit the room. Beyond it lies a stairwell, not spiraled this time, but straight. Narrow, ascending. Your body knows it's time to go up. As you climb, the air warms again. Dust begins to return. The walls lose their hum. You feel weight returning, gravity, history, expectation. After what feels like 100 steps, you emerge into a tunnel half filled with collapsed debris. Stone and roots twist through the ceiling. Sunlight filters faintly from somewhere above. You've reached the edge of the system. You crawl upward. Into daylight. The shock of the sun makes you squint. The heat hits hard. You shield your face, climb the last few meters, and collapse onto dry earth. You are back. The surface of Lake Chad stretches before you, cracked and golden in the afternoon sun. A wind rolls across it, lifting dust into slow, spiraling motions. The world looks the same, but you are not the same. You sit up, and that's when you see them. Footprints. Not yours. Not fresh. You follow them just a few paces. They lead to a canvas bag half buried. You dig it out. Inside, an old journal. Water warped. Leather cover. Pages fragile. You open it. The handwriting is familiar. It's yours, but older. The first page reads, "If you're reading this, it worked." Again. You freeze. Flip through. The pages tell a story almost identical to what you just experienced. Names, symbols, even the engineers, but dated 60 years ago. You whisper, "This isn't the first loop." Then you laugh dry, stunned. "And I still didn't leave myself snacks?" Joke 2, because panic needs company. You look around. No one. Just the sound of the wind and the echo of a system slowly restarting beneath the earth. You stand, take a deep breath, and realize this wasn't just about discovering something ancient. It was about being remembered. And now it's your turn to pass it on. You walk for hours without tracking time. Only the sun's slow descent reminds you that night is near. Lake Chad lies behind you, quiet and dry once more. On the surface, it's just cracked earth. But you know better now. Beneath that thin crust is a structure humming with purpose, waiting, watching. In your hand, the black pyramid weighs more than its size should allow. You reach the edge of a settlement, small, quiet. A few homes, a radio antenna, and a rusted water tower. You stop near a well and sit down. Nobody notices you. You're coated in dust. You look like a traveler, not a carrier of ancient keys. A young boy walks past with a goat. He glances at the pyramid in your hand. Then he pauses. "You found the place," he says in French-accented Hausa. You freeze. "What place?" "The place that doesn't forget." Before you can ask more, he smiles, shrugs, and walks on. You turn the pyramid in your hand. One side now glows faintly. A soft pulse. It's responding to this place. Or to you. You flip open the leather journal you found earlier, the one apparently written by another version of yourself. Page 47 is marked with a fold. You read, "They'll never come the way we expect. Not from the sky, but from beneath. From memory." You look up. The stars are beginning to appear. And suddenly, the thought hits you, what if the stars themselves are memories? Each point of light a reflection of something we've forgotten? You laugh softly. Okay, I'm officially one existential snack away from a TED Talk. You sleep lightly that night, curled beneath the stars. The next morning, you wake to the smell of coffee. Someone left a cup near you. Still warm. A small triangle drawn in the sand beside it. You're being watched. Or guided. You gather your things and begin walking again, this time west. The further you go, the more the spiral begins to reappear. On pottery, on old carvings in village stones, even on a modern gas station sign where paint has peeled to reveal a perfect spiral underneath. You're seeing it everywhere now, as if it's been there the whole time, and your brain only just remembered how to read it. Then, on the fourth day, you reach an outpost with working electricity and a satellite dish. You upload your photos, back up your notes. You hesitate before sending anything else, because you know what comes next. Exposure. And interference. You send a small batch of symbols to a trusted contact in archaeology. Just enough to test the waters. Not the crystal. Not the sphere. Not the gate. Just the patterns. 2 days later, you get a reply. Some of these match artifacts recovered from under the sea off Yonaguni, Japan. Others match carvings found in pre-Maya tombs in Belize. But the language doesn't match any timeline. What is this? You reply with a single sentence. Something we forgot on purpose. A few hours later, your phone dies. Permanently. No power. No response. You try another. It works. But only outside the outpost. Inside, everything flickers. You return to the journal. A margin note catches your eye. The systems above ground will start rejecting our tools. They always do, but only when we ask the right questions. You look at the glowing side of the pyramid again. It's brighter now, hotter, and you realize it's not just a key, it's a countdown. You think back to the word the entity spoke to you. Symmetry. What happens when two versions of the same signal begin to pulse at once? What happens when memory sinks? You get back on your feet. You no longer know if you're retracing someone else's steps or your own. But the spiral is calling. Not from the sky, from underneath. And the pulse is getting faster. The pulse of the pyramid doesn't stop. It quickens. A slow, rhythmic throb in your palm that now matches your heart, or maybe the other way around. It's no longer just a relic. It's an anchor point, drawing you toward something with a pull more compelling than logic. You start heading back. Not to the same place exactly, but to the center of the spiral. Not the surface spiral you found on the lakebed, but the deeper one you felt in the visions. The place the entity called the witness chamber. The origin. The doorway. The landscape warps in subtle ways the closer you get. You pass trees that shouldn't grow this far from water. You hear animals at night, but their sounds echo with two tones, as if the land itself is harmonizing. And at one point, the ground beneath your boots vibrates with no wind, no movement. Just a warning. Something is waiting. 3 days into your return, you spot a campsite, abandoned, still warm. Whoever was here left in a hurry. Inside a tent, you find a notebook. It's not yours, but the handwriting is disturbingly familiar. Scrawled across the first page. I'm not the first. I'm not the last. I don't know which version of me left this here. You close the notebook gently. You're not spiraling into madness. You're spiraling into resonance. The countdown in your hand continues. You don't need numbers to feel it anymore. The air tightens. The sky seems more listening than looking. You reach the lakebed by dusk. It looks the same, but it feels different. The central spiral, once dormant, now pulses with soft green light, barely visible unless you're looking for it. You step to the center and place the pyramid down. Nothing happens. Then everything does. The ground below rumbles, not violently, but deliberately. Dust rises. Stones shift. The spiral begins to sink. No, not sink. It's rotating, descending like a lock being undone. You follow, because of course you do. The stone beneath your feet turns fluid for half a second. You fall. Not fast, but like a bead of mercury sliding into a groove. Then you land. And this time you don't land in a chamber. You land in space. Not outer space, but a spatial simulation, a construct. Stars flicker around you, projected across what looks like infinite sky but smells like damp air. You stand on a glass-like floor that holds weight, but not gravity. In the middle, hovering above a pillar of light. The archive is not a device. It's not a computer. It's a being, or a network of them. It flickers between forms. Humanoid, triangular, spiral. Each image collapsing into the next. Is trying to appear in a form your mind can accept. Then it settles. A silhouette with eyes like mirrored lakes. It speaks. In rhythm. In thought. In memory. The seal was made to protect time. But time fractured. You are the echo. You try to speak, but your throat doesn't work. You don't need to speak. The archive continues. The ones before you chose silence. But silence became infection. Now you must decide. Signal or reset. You whisper, barely, even in your own head. Reset what? The archive shows you. In a flood of impossible clarity, you see the network beneath Earth, not built but grown. Other lakes, other spirals. Baikal, Titicaca, Vostok. Moments in history where activation almost happened. The choice always given, always refused. And then a memory that isn't yours but feels like it, a being, like the one you met in the cradle chamber, turning away from Earth as the seal was laid down. Not in despair. In hope. You collapse to your knees. The archive fades. The lights dim. A final phrase burns into the space above you. Begin the relay, or return to silence. You look at the pyramid still glowing in your hand. You whisper, "How do I choose?" But you already know. You press the spiral. And everything around you breathes. You stare at them. No, you stare at yourself. But not quite. Same eyes. Same jacket. Even the same scratch on the left boot toe. But their expression is older, seasoned. Not by time, but by loops. They smile not in greeting, but in familiarity. Like this meeting was expected. Like they've been waiting for you to arrive at the exact right moment. "Don't freak out," they say casually. Or do. "I did the first time too." You circle slowly, keeping distance. "You're me." They nod. A version. One of many. Your heart pounds. You whisper, "This isn't time travel." Nope. Worse. It's resonance echo. Memory migration. We're stored in the system. Every time someone triggers the spiral, they tap their forehead. Layered over each other like a bad Photoshop file. You run a hand through your hair. "So what? I'm stuck in a loop now?" They chuckle.
No.
You're the break in the loop. The archive never allowed contact before. But the relay changed that. You initiated the merge. You blink. "So why are you still here?" Their smile fades, just slightly. "Because someone has to catch the next version." You did it. You broke the chain. That pyramid? They gesture. It doesn't just start the relay. It frees us. You glance down. The pyramid in your hand is dull, lifeless. "Then what happens now?" They gesture toward the horizon. The wind picks up. You walk forward. Share what you know. Leave the clues for the next one. But this time, make sure it doesn't have to repeat. You look at them. Really look. "Do you remember how it ends?" They smile, bittersweet. "That's the thing. It doesn't." Then they fade. Not like smoke. Like memory dissolving into waking thought. You're alone again. But you don't feel alone. You feel known. You turn and walk across the lake bed, and something follows. Not a shadow, not a presence, but the pull of a world that's just started to listen again. You reach the edge of a ridge and look back. Lake Chad stretches below like a great, breathing lung. And for the first time in 500 years, there's a shimmer across its surface. A slow rise. Water. The seal was never meant to last forever. Just long enough for someone to understand it. You pull out the journal, yours, not yours, and scribble the final entry. It's not about aliens, or ancient tech, or lost civilizations. It's about memory, and our refusal to forget what matters. The spirals weren't warnings. They were invitations. Then, in smaller writing, "You are the message now." You close the book. The sun is dipping behind the trees. Crickets begin to sing. The stars start to prick through the sky. And somewhere beneath your feet, in tunnels deeper than thought, the archive listens. Not sleeping anymore. Not sealed. Just waiting for a reply. You lie back in the grass. The last light of day brushes your face. You breathe in and whisper, "I'm here." The journey begins with the resurfacing of a mysterious spiral under the cracked basin of Lake Chad, revealed after a 5-century drought. As you descend beneath the Earth's surface, guided by unexplainable instincts and ancient visions, you uncover not ruins, but a living memory system constructed by an ancient, possibly extraterrestrial intelligence. The spiral is no symbol. It's a signal, a key, a method to resonate consciousness across time. You encounter beings of light and geometry, awaken dormant constructs, and step into memories that do not belong to you, but now live within you. Through a blend of hallucination and truth, you realize, this isn't about alien visitors. It's about legacy, a layered consciousness stored beneath the earth, waiting for someone to finish the sentence it started eons ago. You become the relay. Through cryptic journals, collapsed timelines, and encounters with your own future past echo, you begin to piece together the reality. This is not your first awakening, nor will it be your last. The spiral brings people like you again and again, each one carrying a little more of the whole. But this time, with the archive unlocked, the signal goes further. This time, the silence breaks. By the story's end, you're no longer a lone explorer. You're a transmitter, a guardian of a pattern older than language, more precise than myth. The lake breathes again, and the sky, once passive, now listens. You are the message. You are the memory. You are the next spiral. The archive exhales light. Not blinding, but total. A soft white that erases shadow without creating glare. You're no longer standing on a floor. You're no longer standing, period. The pyramid hovers between your palms now, rotating, each face shimmering with glyphs that no longer confuse you. They invite you. A voice, if it can be called that, returns. The spiral was never a symbol. It was a method. The pyramid stops spinning. One face turns solid black. You place your thumb on it. And then, you are everyone. All at once. You feel the memory of a woman carving the spiral into wet clay beside a fire 12,000 years ago. You feel the awe of a desert priest in 800 BC discovering a staircase inside a sand-buried dome. You hear the words of a Belgian archaeologist in 1891. This doesn't belong to any culture I know of. You see a child in the year 2437, playing with a holographic spiral toy, unaware that it's a teaching tool meant to awaken buried understanding. All of it lives inside you, just long enough to make you cry. You return to your body gently, like a feather landing on water. The archive is silent now, waiting. You hear your own breath. You place the pyramid onto the glowing pedestal before you. Activation. Not loud. Not cinematic. Real. The space around you becomes a conduit. Transparent walls folding back to reveal streams of spiraling light shooting up, down, outward. They pass through the Earth's crust like signal flares. You see where they're headed. Antarctica, Mongolia, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. And Mars? You blink, and it's gone. You're alone, standing once again on the dry, cracked floor of Lake Chad, the sun now dipping low on the horizon. In your hand, the pyramid has lost all glow. It's inert, but the air has changed. The silence is no longer empty. It's charged. You look around. The lake bed is still dry, but the wind that brushes your cheek carries moisture. The heat has softened. The sky hums faintly with something you can't name. And then you hear it. In the far distance, a sound like a low chime. Metallic, beautiful, almost mournful. It's the sound of another spiral unlocking. Someone else somewhere is waking up. You smile, and then notice something beside your foot. A small circle, carved into the earth, glowing faintly. New, not your doing. You kneel. Inside it is an inscription. You've begun the relay. Others are listening. They've been waiting for you to speak first. You laugh. Great. I accidentally joined a cosmic group chat. You look to the sky. A satellite passes overhead. Fast. Blinking. You realize it's not broadcasting down. It's receiving. The change has already begun. You turn back toward the horizon. Now what? That's when the wind brings a sound that makes your skin prickle. Footsteps. Not yours. You freeze. Then a voice, just out of view. Took you long enough. You whirl around. Person. Same build as you. Same backpack. Same dirt on their shoes. Same face. They smile. Let's talk.